What up, it's your boy Javon, aka King Cannon, and you are watching Sheen TV. We about to get into a dope interview. Stay tuned. The younger me definitely had a love for performing arts. That was instilled in me from the examples that I had. Like all of my brothers, my father, my mother even, all have their different areas that, you know, they studied and mastered. One of my brothers was a singer, another was a rapper, and then there's one that we all know. So that kind of lent me a few different examples. Even my father, you know, spent time as a speaker, just an orator, and just getting in front of people and captivating crowds and just moving people is just something that's I could say maybe just in my blood. So watching performing arts, music, you know, acting, things of that nature, always been something that I was interested in. Like I said, stemming from that. I've had at a younger age, probably, you know, developmental age, grade school age, my relationships to performing arts was primarily just through like classes and things like that, and playing make-believe with my brothers in the house. It wasn't until maybe got to like the age of 12 that I started to actually, you know, take those skill sets outside and see what I was made of amongst the world, and it fared pretty well for me. The first time that I performed like my own work would probably be, I think I remember it was like 4th grade. We had like this reading program that you would do. You had to read a book and you would take it like a computer test, and it would give you a score at the end based on how many you got right, so on and so forth. For whatever reason, my 4th grade teacher decided to make us like write like raps or like poems like around like why, to encourage like our classmates as to why we should do it. And I had never like wrote my own rap. I had memorized one of my brother's raps before and like performed that as mine, but I never like taken the time to like think of my own, but I just knew I could do it just because I've been around it, you know, my whole life. So went home that day, wrote my own little rap, performed it amongst my classmates, and just noticed the reaction to it and like the standout, and like, oh, I was kind of better than the other kids that kind of did this. Like, I was way better than them, you know? Just kind of that attitude that I kind of took in like maybe 4th grade, like, and just noticing that I was good at something and like saw the differentiation aside from like being taller than kids and being good at basketball. Like, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, I did this with like my words and something that I thought of, and like everybody's like, oh, you know, just getting that reaction back. So that was the first time like that I ever done it. Like the first time that I started doing it, like, you know, consistently. There's a difference between doing something one time and actually making a life of it. I was probably like, I don't quite remember the age, but however old you are in 8th grade, like that's when it like really switched over for me. Well, I had always known that I went into college knowing I want to start my own production company. Like that was definitive. And now that I never really expected to go to college, I was just smart and could. Yeah, got into, you know, every school that I applied to. Now I just had to figure out what to do. Like, how do I connect these dots between everybody's telling me to go here? I had a conversation with Nick, and he's like, entertainment isn't going anywhere. Like, establish yourself here, get your education, so on and so forth, and build yourself up. And by the time you get to, you know, entertainment, you have something else to show for it. And if you don't want to do this, it's something to fall back on. And as great of advice as that was, I wasn't trying to hear that at the time. Like, I want to go be, you know what I'm saying, live these dreams up. Now being in school is like, well, what do I do here? How do I connect this dot between a production company where all I really knew at 18 about a production company is I have ideas that I want to create. Like, I have things that I want to do. And production company sounds about right to say in terms of connecting those dots. So now that I'm in this place that's supposed to teach me something, teach me how to do that. So my first degree path was in marketing and business. I want a business, a production company business. We have to market things, right? So why not get my degree in marketing? And I think my first semester I had to like take a business orientation class where I had to wear a suit and tie like every morning, and I said, this is not for me. I remember passing one of my friends, he told me the story every day. He's like, you just used to look so miserable. I was like, oh, you're not gonna be there long. And I wasn't. So next semester, I changed my major from marketing to theater administration. Again, thinking production company, administration, education is sounded business side of producing something a little closer to, what I want to do. I know performance, so producing, or the business side of performance, okay, theater. Then I got into that environment, which was closer, but then I realized this is kind of like these kids like are willing to die about this, and I still want to have fun. I still want to go outside. Like I think I'm cute, so like these girls got to see me, and these kids is in here till 10 o'clock at night and going over lines. And listen, I don't want to do that. So understanding like, okay, my passion doesn't lie here. Where else do I have to go? Like, I don't want to be here already, but let's figure out how to make this work. Through talking to people and stuff like that, that kind of landed me in television and film production, which is, had I known this is a major, like I would have just immediately went here, but I didn't want to be here, so I'm just trying to make the best work, and I didn't do my due diligence at the time of fully investigating, like if I'm going to be here, how do I make the best of it? And I was just trying to get it done. That led me on that journey. Luckily for me, because I knew like the end goal, none of the majors was too like far out, or separated from each other. So a lot of the classes kind of overlap. So that didn't put me too far behind on like graduating on time. Nope. Because that was a period of time where it got super cloudy for me. Just there was a lot going on. Just of course, like I think that time, at any young person's life, like 18 to 22, 23 is like crucial generally, just in terms of like what type of person you're gonna be. I think those habits that you build at that age. And then me being, like I had no family in Washington, D.C. I'm from North Carolina. All my family is either somewhere around there or California, like nowhere in between really. So it was just completely being thrust into that environment on my own. So just all of those factors kind of made it tough to see the way, on top of the fact that, getting into relationships and just dealing with stuff about being on your own. And then like I said at the start, I knew this wasn't really my desire to go to school. My mom always said I had to go to school. So now that my brothers, like it was kind of instilled in me. But I want to go live out these creative dreams that I have. I got these things in my head that I want to get out. And I don't quite see how going to sit in class about whatever that's not this, helps that. So it got cloudy for me, like where I'm going. I also feel like, well, if I'm gonna spend all of this time here and I don't really have passion for this, there's other things that I can do. Like I understand I need to fund my passions. There's ways that I can go make money quicker to go fund my dream. I kind of look at things that, strategically, more than anything. And going to school for 4 years, just kind of sitting doesn't seem like the best strategy. Go about getting what I want personally, or at least that's what it felt like at the time. But the way the universe kind of just works for me, God, I personally say God, whatever, you choose to say. How he works in my life is just, everything just kind of, when it comes to a boiling point, it tends to work themselves out. So one day I'm most stressed. I'm at my peak I told my mom already, like I'm dropping out, and she said, I know. And I said, whoa, like that was kind of like a big thing for me. Like if my mom understands that she's not yelling at me tripping, like I don't really care. But the last person was to tell was my brother. So I had set the date already. Like I'm gonna call him like this day, we're gonna have this conversation. I'm explaining to him this is my plan, this is what I'm gonna do. And like 4 days before that day came up, he called me and he was just randomly asking, like, what you wanna do? Like you getting close to graduating and X, Y, and Z. And the conversation that we had there, like just was so made the, where I was going, my direction, like the purpose of all of this so much clearer. It's like, man, had you told me this at the start, I would have graduated in 2 years and we would have got to this. But, timing is everything. The way everything works out is how it's supposed to work out. But, speaking to your question of just this clarity, and just because you have this idea of the end goal, it don't go. But I had to learn it doesn't go how you think it's gonna go. But ultimately, if you have faith and you put in the work and pure of heart is what I believe, then you get there. And you get there in the time that you're supposed to get there. Yes, two completely different types of creative households though. Just because how my life worked out, up until I was 7, like it was a house full of like creativity. There's my 3 brothers, that lived in the house with me. There's my mom who's like maintaining everything. And then there's my brother who's made it in the land of creativity. And then all of my three brothers in the house, are looking to that and, striving to be that in their various ways, being great in their time, in their teenage years and things like that. So I'm just soaking all of that in. I'm going having singing lessons with my R&B singing brother. I'm going to have rap battles with my rapping brother. I'm going to, figuring out how to manage it all with my oldest brother, aside from Nick, who's taking on the kind of like the father figure role. So I'm learning responsibility from him and just all of the mix and how they play onto each other. And, all of their friends that come around, they're all much older than me as well. So it's just like I'm just learning so much and just listening to music I don't have no business listening to and understanding it and listening to people break down the movie that is way too old for me. But, so I'm just soaking in all that game. And then one day it just kind of stops because my brothers moved to California. So now this lively house full of people, full of things that, are way too older than me, it just kind of just stops and it's just stuck with me. And just my mom and my mom is working a lot, so it kind of led me to be, just stuck in the house with my own creativity and having to figure out, okay, out of all of these things that I've seen, a lot of which, are too old for me, I had to grow into. And just kind of with the memories of, what was that one thing that was talking about? Like, what was this one person? Who was this Tupac dude that they used to love so much and just figure out and, put my own interpretation on all of these things that were kind of left for me, just, from memory, whether it be the CDs or the Apollo, show that they recorded on an old, Ants Disney movie, cassette tape. Just watching all of those things and just soaking up all, just trying to piece together the longing for my brothers who are left. But what remained through it all is just happened to be the arts, creativity, artistic things and writing raps and all of the stuff that I remember them doing. Oh no, I definitely had to, work. I don't want to say harder than others, but the path that I went on, the work that I had to do is completely different. In some ways it can, I believe, there are extra barriers to jump over. Again, I don't want to say harder because I don't know anybody else's journey. I can only speak on mine. But, I definitely, from my perspective, it adds a little more hurdles. Like what I've noticed, it'll always get you in the door quicker, but that don't mean that the party is going to be any easier for you to navigate, just because you was able to, sneak in through the back door, or, just walk in through the front and the bouncers know who your people. But that don't mean that the girl in there going to talk to you. That don't mean that the bartender just going to give you a free drink. You got to figure out how to go about those, relationships yourself, how to get cool with the bartender, how to get the pretty girl to talk to you, how to get the gangster dude not to beat you up, because those are the things that you got to figure out amongst your own once that door is open for you. And because Nick is my brother, there's that extra spotlight on you, just that extra eye, that extra, attention that on one hand is good, but then on the other hand, it's just like, there's always he's only here because, or he didn't. A lot of that I was able to kind of circumnavigate just because my brother don't hand out free tickets to nothing. He makes, especially when it comes to us, he makes us work for everything. So my journey started, as a PA. I was the freshest PA that you had ever seen in your life. Like everything brand new. I'm popping tags off everything because in my mind, I thought, it's like, no, young fella, it's not going to be that. You taking out the trash and, I ruined my brand new Timberlands. Them joints was beautiful until I got trash juice on it because this is what you doing. Like, in that moment, I was like, oh, I'm proud of this. Like, oh, this fire. Like, I'm going to be able to tell this story forever. The fact that I bust out my brand new Timbs, trying to be cute. And you got to go to work. And these joints got ruined because, I had to go take out trash. I had to go to the store and get some tampons some lady products for whoever needed it on set. And that was my job. And I was proud to do that because I always knew, kind of similar to, my understanding of Howard. Like, I understand where I'm going. Like, I've always been able to look at the end goal and go, if that's what I want, if that's what I want to do, I'm cool with what I have to do it. If I can say I am, that's cool. Whatever anybody else think don't really matter to me. Doing that work as a PA, I had another conversation with my brother and he's like, all right, so what do you want to do now? Like, what's next? He was able to see everything. He was able to watch from that perspective and see what it is. You can get paid to take out trash if that's what you want to do. But so what do you want to do? And understanding my end goal was to be on the show, understanding certain things that my father had, implemented in me since a kid. Focus on getting your way behind the camera. Focus on writing, focus on directing, because once you do that, you get good enough at that, you pitch whatever you write, you pitch whatever you produce, you can just pitch yourself in as the talent as well. And if they want your story bad enough, then they'll take you. You got to make sure that you have the goods and stuff like that. But if you can do both, then you can do both. A lot of people just standing in the line trying to be in front of the camera. So those lessons all came from my father. Those are the same things that he's telling Nick when he's coming up. And, just taking heed to that. I told Nick that, I kind of wanted to figure out either the producer path or, the creative consultant or writer path. Initially, I chose to work with the creatives just because it sounded a little more fun. That led me to, interacting with the cast members and coming to the workshops that, they teach the newbies the games that we go over, which is, starts to be initial practice before all of the veterans come in and really get to tearing their heads off in all of the games and stuff like that. So, but still, initially I was only a PA in that. So I was a creative consultant's PA and had to work my way up the ranks from there and then prove myself amongst all of the big dogs that I had something. Like, you better have something. Like, you don't have to be good at all these games, but you better find one that you're good at. And, those are some of the funniest people, most talented people in the world. So that training and, obstacle courses that, I had to go through and ultimately showed enough to the right people that, they gave me an opportunity to step in front of the camera, while simultaneously fighting the battles of implementing and showing some of the newer cast members, the way, as I'm still, discovering it for myself in this environment. So it was a lot. So from production assistant, which PA stands for, to this season 21. It's probably for me personally, like a 7-year journey with like a 7-season journey. We was getting to the point we shooting like 3 seasons a year. So it turns out to be like 3.5, maybe 4 years of work, but 7 seasons, plus or minus like 3 seasons that I wasn't able to, that I had to take like a hiatus on in between. It was like a 10-season span that I happened to be, work 7 seasons on, from production assistant to production or for PA to the creative consultant specifically, to officially being a creative consultant, which is, in other scripted shows, it would be like a writer, but because we're non-scripted, is a consultant. In that 3rd season, I was also able to touch the stage as a performer. That 4th season, I was officially both. And then the next 2 seasons, I was a creative consultant and cast member. There was a 3-season hiatus, and now I'm officially back as a performer, a creative consultant, and a producer. So it's been a long journey. So as a producer, I've worked on various things as well. Kind of starting with an internship opportunity that I stumbled upon while I was in college. That led me to produce a game show. It was called the Little Boost Gamer Show for the DC Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment. In my stint at Howard University. That, surprisingly enough, landed me an IMBD credit, which I had no clue about until I randomly Googled my name. Now, wilding out, but, that in the timeline technically would come later. Then I think the next one past, the Little Boost Gamer Show would probably be with Power 106, which is in radio, which was a completely different medium altogether and had a completely different learning curve and origin story that was, crazy amongst itself. But learning those ropes and how radio works, and which is completely different from television, which is of course completely different from film and completely different from the internet, and Instagram and TikTok and things like that. And just being kind of thrusted into the opportunity to, use all of my production skills and all of the things that my degree had taught me in classes that I never thought I needed audio engineering classes. I want to be the rapper. What do I need to? And then, just everything happened for a reason in the timing that it was supposed to. Here I am as a radio producer who I never thought I would be this, and have to use those same audio editing skills to produce my own segments and things like that, and use my producer skills to reach out to kids that I don't have access to and their parents that I'll have to find from somewhere, and things like that. And also figuring out, what works well for radio. This is an audio experience, which is completely different from a audio-visual experience. Things like that is the next medium that I was in, and that kind of led me to where I am today, producing on Nick Cannon's new Amp Radio podcast experience is what I call it, because it's kind of like a variety show a little bit in a way, where it's on an audio platform, but there's a visual component to it. So it's a little bit of the best of both worlds. And, we're producing that, and it streams every day. So go check that out, download app, and go check us out every morning from 9 to, depending on where you are. You just go follow us on Instagram as well at The Daily Cannon, and you'll be able to see all of that information as to when we go live and stuff. Yeah, there's different things that goes on with, each day. My brother's really heavy on positivity. So on Mondays is motivation, on Wednesdays worship Wednesdays and things like that. But he's also very layered and nuanced. So Tuesdays we get very toxic. So and then we pray about it on Wednesday. And yeah, it's a whole journey that we take people on. So I definitely advise people go check it out. Man, I don't know. When you sit here and, people ask you questions about it and you try to come up with some type of answer, it sounds really articulate and smart and put together. And oftentimes just faith and, an idea that exists in your head and just the smallest amount of belief that maybe I can do it if I just try a little bit. And that's really, the mentality that I've taken is always try to, do the thing that's in front of me the best that I possibly can. Trust in my ability to plan and, the foresight that I was kind of blessed with and, the things that I was able to see from, like I said, I had a lot of, forefathers, forebrothers that, walked before me and that did a lot of great things before me that I was able to soak up game from and kind of get a couple cheat codes to this life thing, entertainment thing, a lot of the things that I was passionate about. I had people that find success and found failure in everything I wanted to do. So studying that book, studying, the people that God has gave me to study, and just kind of did my best at, self-belief, really. I think those two things coupled together has really got me in this spot. And, the second thing I probably could get better at is just, and maybe we all could, is just the belief that, I could do this. And at every time, every instant that is jumped above, abnormal or jumped to a higher level, I found success. So I don't know, that's how I did it. The best advice, the best advice I gotten probably hasn't come from anybody in the industry yet. I don't know if that's because me or because, I was blessed with some real ones that didn't have anything to do with the industry. So, also blessed with some people that real spiritual people. The best advice to me ain't from a human, it's from something that's bigger than all of us. So the piece of advice that means the most to me, that got me through my darkest days, is everything happened for a reason. I don't know if that's advice. That sounds terrible when you have to hear it every time. Who wants to hear that? Typically when you hear that means something didn't go your way. And now you have to believe that something better is gonna come from it. But in my 27 years of living, it's proven to be a fact to me. Everything happens for a reason. And if you search yourself enough and, sit with your creator long enough, I believe he'll reveal it to you. And keep living long enough, if he doesn't in the time that you need him to, life will kind of show you, why you had to go through this and the purpose and the benefit of, iron sharpening iron and what the valleys did, stuff like that. So everything happened for a reason. And I personally hate that piece of advice, but it's true. There's so many, but one of them, I don't know if it's the most, but one that immediately kind of just jumped out is that you can always be doing more. It's kind of, to me, it's just kind of self-explanatory. Just watching just what's possible with 24 hours. When you think you're tired and you think you done enough and you already worked out today, and now you're proud of yourself. There's so much more that you could be doing. There's so many different places that you can go. There's so many different conversations that you can be having. And it all exists here, in your mind. You can have a million different conversations, literally just sitting by yourself in your mind in 5 minutes. But the differentiation is the ones that's going to take 5 of those conversations out of the million that just played in their head and really go execute it and, have those things in a particular direction. 24 hours is a long time if you know what you're doing with it. it just pushes you. It's iron sharpening iron. I don't know. Me personally, I've always been that type of person. Like, I think it's because everybody is older than me. Like, not only my brothers, like, I'm the youngest grandchild, like, out of a bunch, like, a whole bunch. So, I don't know. There's just always something. Everybody was, whatever we playing, like, they gonna be better. It's not fair. Like, it's just not. So just, instead of just taking that attitude, it's just like, okay, I don't have to beat them. Like, I'm gonna beat y'all. Like, it's more y'all outside than it is them. And that's cool. I'll be little to them, but y'all not gonna beat me. And that's just kind of, so I used whatever I was kind of going through just as practice almost. And just being able to, I've been a little brother before. I've been able to not beat up nobody in this house, but then I also taking that experience to outside, and nobody can beat me out here. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just kind of that same philosophy just kind of gave me like a real, I guess, a tough skin. So whether that be basketball, like I want to play the best dude and beat me 100 times, that's fine. But I guarantee you it's gonna be harder to beat me every time. Like, and being around people that are creative, me freestyling with all of my friends and being the best, you know, one of the best people that's doing it, and then getting around people and go, oh, not no more. Like, that's fun to me. Like, I want to keep doing it. Like, let's keep rapping. Let's keep, and then just thinking back on, you know, day 1 to day 7 and just being able to see the improvement with yourself. That's always something I love. So being around the best creatives, the quickest, literally the quickest witted, I don't know how to say that, but the fastest, the sharpest people in the world, the fastest people in the world, whether that be in rapping, comedy, whatever the case may be, just performance, embodying something, like, it only makes you better. And my ego was never allowed to be big enough to worry about losing or somebody being better than me. So I just learned from it. My process is to really just get in my zone and pace around whatever I'm doing. Like, just pace around, or wherever I'm at. Like, so if I'm at my crib, like, I'm just pacing around my crib, just in my head, trying to just think of whatever real life scenarios I see, whatever's going on. I feel like that just stems from me being the only child, and like, I'm just left alone at the crib. Like, the only thing to do is just think and figure out what I'm about to do. When I get to kind of write this down on paper and pass this to somebody else and let them say all of the evil stuff that was bouncing in my head. So it worked. Well, I mean, that's obviously the most iconic one, when everybody started clowning me about my, you know, part of comedy is just being completely spontaneous and not having any type of second thought, not caring if I hurt your feelings. That was funny, bro. Like, if it hurts, I think about hurting your feelings maybe after we all get this laugh out, and maybe why I shouldn't have said that. But I don't know, like, the type of family I came from, being from the South, being the youngest in it all, like, yeah, not like respect was instilled in me. So it's a reflex to kind of go against to, oh, I don't want to say that about bro. Why would I say that? Like, that's mean type of thing. But I kind of get to masquerade that a little bit as a, like, writer, consultant. Like, this is not my voice saying this. I get to kind of write this down on paper and pass this to somebody else and let them say all of the evil stuff that was bouncing in my head. So it worked. Well, I mean, that's obviously the most iconic one, when everybody started clowning me about my big ass shoes. But that joint was crazy, because I think that was like my second episode, like, literally. I think the previous question you asked me is just about, you know, my heart and being in, you know, being able to just say the meanest things. I think another part of that is just not wanting to do things wrong. I think a lot of times, especially when I'm, 22, so I kind of started initially, you know, got into being on the cast, trying not to mess up, just trying to fill things out. And that's not how you play this game, young man. Like, that's not how you do this. Being in your head too much just block you. Like, it's just gonna have you overthinking. And that's something that I had to learn. And that's what that moment was for me. Like, so just trying, like, I step out and it's my second episode, and I'm just trying to make sure that, and it's already been a bunch of audibles, and like I'm new and y'all trying to change stuff. I'm trying to get the hang of it, and y'all moving stuff all around, but that's just how well and I'll go. And it comes time for me to step out, and whoa, like, this, we didn't block this like this, where somebody behind me, he not supposed to say that, like, and duh, dummy, like, what you thought this was. So And then, okay, cool. Well, he said it, and he wasn't supposed to say that, but fine, let's just keep. And then he say something. He's like, well, he wasn't supposed to say that either. And then he say, and then before you know it, like I remember, like just watch. Everything is about basketball. Everything is a basketball in it. But I remember, they talk about playing with Michael Jordan and playing with great people, and their teammates or even sometimes people on the other team will find themselves watching like the greatness happen instead of like, oh, Stab, I'm supposed to be defending Mike. I can't believe he made that shot. Like that was amazing. Like I understood those analogies in that moment just because just watching how quick it's happening. But like, oh, this happening to me though. Like I got to do something. Otherwise, this is gonna keep happening. Like you know what I'm saying? And just figuring out like, well, just because that don't mean you just get super strength and superpowers. Like, and now you learn that as a little brother. Just because your brother punched you in the chest, it don't mean you get super strong now that you're mad. Like you got to figure out another way about getting to what you want. And part of that lesson is learning how to fail well in comedy, and just making that decision and stuff like that. So that moment, I think at the end of that moment, initially I wanted to get upset because that was pretty embarrassing. Didn't nobody tell me this is gonna happen. Like this is so unfair. What was me? Blah 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 blah. And I think Chico Beans, who was one of the leaders of the assault, came up to me and he dapped me up and he said, "Hey bro, if they didn't know you before, they're gonna know you now." And my immediate response back to him was, "I appreciate it." And I was able to, what I'm saying, like just kind of shift my energy and my perspective. Like what is there to be mad about? Like these are some of the funniest people in the world, and they just gave you this entire month, blessed you on stage, made the whole entire segment about you for 10 minutes straight. And the worst that they could come up with is that you got big shoes. Like, and that's only because all of these niggas is 5'6". I'm 6'2". Like, no, this is a grown man shoe size. So if that's what I got to deal with, oh, that was amazing. Like I appreciate that, bro. Like, so that was iconic. And then I got some get back on them a couple, I think like a season later. I was able to have my moment that went, how the moments go in your head. You don't think that when all of the moments or the moment come where you in the spotlight and everybody looking at you, you the butt of the joke, but you don't expect it that way. But you have that moment and it makes the moment where it goes like you in your head and you shine and you the king of the world to make that moment feel that much better. So those are probably my two favorite moments. Because improv is really it makes it impossible to write. Of course, you can kind of prepare, you kind of can think about this, like, oh, that would be good if I use that. And I can, at the end of the day, these are my cast members, like, I see them, I know who are going to be in these games, whether it's going to be one of these people, So you can, come with certain things prepared, but in terms of like delivery, in terms of spontaneity, in terms of being in the moment and executing in that moment, the only way to prepare for that is to be spontaneous, is to trust yourself. And it's a muscle. It's, shooting jump shots is the only way you're going to get good at that is shooting jump shots. Stephen Curry, the greatest shooter in the world, just didn't wake up that way. That man shot 1 billion jump shots over the course of his life. And, comparing everything to basketball, that's what I was able to see in Wildin' Out. Like seeing Charlie Clips and Hitman Holler and Conceited really play rap games all day long, like non-stop. Like that's what they do. Like how you and your friends might sit down and, drink a Corona and watch it, whatever. Like they play rap games, like annoyingly, like to like, oh, y'all still rhyme, like, but that's how they become the best in the world at it. Chaos. The back is pure chaos because it's really like, people with the most personalities, personalities that's bigger than life, but all of them though, like every one of them. And it might be a group of 3 over here creating their own universe with one universe going on over there. And okay, that universe taking a nap right now, but don't let them wake up and there's gonna be a tornado that come through, but it all just exists beautifully because it's also like a family environment. And, part of, building camaraderie, unfortunately, is like struggle and like hardship. And when everybody here has a purpose to, make it for their personal family and so on and so forth. And this arena that we in is like a blood sport, the gladiator sport, where listen, to, anything go, anything to get this laugh, anything to make this dude over here who gonna get me on this show laugh, anything to make this crowd of people laugh. And that might be me saying some things that might hurt your feelings in real life and you just gotta smile through. Being able to go through that process together, but understand like, hey, like it's all love and we gonna leave it there. It just breeds a different understanding of each other. Like it brings a different like type of camaraderie where I might not all the way get along with this person, but I understand to let him exist over there, I'm exist over here. And when it comes time to work together, we'll make beautiful music and magic happen. But fortunately for us, at least in my time being here, I haven't seen too many spats. It's really like a family environment. Like we literally getting paid to make jokes about each other. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just imagine somebody coming to your crib and paying you to joke with your siblings. It's like, oh, I got all the jokes in the world about this. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it becomes. So the environment is super dope. Well, yeah, because you came into this family house that joke with each other all the time, and now the joke's on you, and you ain't in the family. Like, of course, we try to make everything like an open, welcome environment, but at the end of the day, like I said, this is a blood sport, and you can play football back here with me and all my brothers, but we hit how we hit, and if you don't like how we hit, then, well, this is gonna be your last time playing in this field, ain't it? And that's how it is a lot of times, but people know what Wildin' Out is. It's our 21st season, you know what I'm saying? I remember recording the very first episode. I was in 3rd grade. Like, I probably was in 2nd grade. But, yeah, like, it's been around that long. So people know what they're getting into. And if you, cross that line, if you come into this backyard, you agreeing to play football about the same way we play football. So that's just kind of how it goes. I mean, this might be a little cliche, but if anybody gonna do it, it's me. I'm gonna go with my big brother. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it starts there. Like, I've seen it firsthand. It starts in there. From all of the success in the world to when it come crashing down and everybody check stop and what name everybody's saying. It ain't all is this man right here because this is his brainchild. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen the behind the scenes footage before there was ever a scene. You know what I'm saying? Of stuff shot on camcorders, of him shooting it in a comedy cellar, funding it with his own money and stuff like that, and just really having this vision and building this team and pulling these people around him all under the understanding of trying to put other people on, his homies on, and his comedy friends on, and things like that. And just a pure love for hip-hop and hip-hop comedy, and understanding that he had an opportunity and wanted to give it back to people that might not have been blessed with the same, just all of the pure-hearted, cliche, PR write-up stuff that sound too good to be true. It's like, nah, I've watched it firsthand and I've seen it and I've experienced it so much so that, aside from Nick, my second oldest brother was able to work on this show, and then 10 years later, I was able to walk in the door and come, follow the footsteps of my second brother on a show that my eldest brother was able to create. It's just that lineage that goes on for myself, and then the same thing for Emmanuel Hudson and his brother and so many other people. And, certain things just get put into perspective when, like, that moment where we kind of got canceled and he got into his controversy and stuff like that. And you really just see how many people's lives were affected by, just him. So I think it starts and finishes with, him, but not just him, but just the intentionality and the pureness that he put into the creation. So now at the point where it's grown to a massive success, whether you are bigger than, him individually, that is magnified. That purity, that pure intention, that direction, that vision is just magnified even bigger. And it's just become a machine that is able to sustain under the, the seeds that he planted into it. So you ask me, I'm gonna say go to, it start and finish with Big Bro. And of course there's amazing teams and, amazing people that make everything else in the middle of the sandwich, but it ain't a sandwich without the bread, and that start with Big Bro. Yo, what it do? It's your boy Javon Cannon, aka King Cannon, and you are watching Sheen TV on YouTube, baby. Stay tuned for more content.